Why do people with an avoidant attachment style often seem to come back after you apply the no contact rule? It's not an unfamiliar story. You cut off contact, keep your distance, and suddenly, the person you thought was gone forever starts texting or trying to get back into your life. The no contact rule, considered a simple but powerful strategy, often has incredible effects in these situations. But why? What is it about the avoidance psychology that makes them react this way? To understand this better, we need to delve into the psychological mechanism of the avoidant attachment style. These individuals often build a wall of emotional defense, not because they don't need connection, but because they fear being hurt when they get too close. The no contact rule isn't just about cutting off contact. It also creates a necessary space for the avoidant to confront the emotions they usually try to avoid. This distance is not about rejection, but a subtle arrangement that makes them ask themselves, what's going on? How do I really feel? Join us as we explore this further in this video to understand why this rule often works and how it exploits core elements of the avoidance psychology, bringing them back to connections they thought they had abandoned. If you want to learn more about attachment psychology, love strategies, and how to build lasting relationships, don't forget to subscribe to our channel now. Let's journey together to better understand love and discover yourself. The first is understanding the fundamental and core elements of the avoidant mindset. In the complex world of attachment psychology, we often refer to four core attachment styles: secure attachment, dismissive avoidant attachment, anxious preoccupied attachment, and fearful avoidant attachment. Of these, the three insecure attachment styles are shaped by core wounds, deep psychological vulnerabilities that act as emotional triggers. Whenever these wounds are touched, they immediately activate defensive responses that make the already insecure attachment style even more vulnerable. In attachment psychology, the dismissive avoidant type is often seen as a living paradox. Outwardly, they display independence, autonomy, and even coldness in relationships. They value maintaining emotional distance and often appear immune to the attachment needs of others. However, beneath this tough shell, avoidants carry a complex inner life full of imagined longings for a perfect relationship. They idealize the idea of love, but at the same time they also neutralize any connection that could turn that fantasy into reality. Experiencing love. To understand this further, let's look at their core wound, the fear of losing independence. Their childhood, often associated with experiences of rejection or lack of emotional validation, has formed a strong defense mechanism. They learn to cope on their own and confuse self-reliance with independence. This makes them view intimacy as a threat because closeness means the risk of being hurt or losing control. But the paradox here is that while they strive to keep their distance from others, they secretly yearn for a deep connection, an idealized relationship in which they feel loved without having to sacrifice their freedom. Imagine a dismissive avoidant woman. She may enter a relationship with the attractive appearance of someone independent, not needing to rely on anyone. The man beside her may be captivated by her confidence and mystery. However, as the relationship progresses, he begins to realize that she always keeps her distance, avoiding deep conversations or plans that involve commitment. One day, he suggests they build a future together, but she responds with ambiguity. Maybe, but not now. Instead of discussing it, she finds ways to withdraw, using work or the need for privacy as an excuse. He feels disappointed and she pushes him further away, not because she doesn't care, but because her fear of losing independence has been triggered. Interestingly, while avoiding reality, she maintains a perfect image in her mind of the ideal partner, someone perfect enough to never need him to compromise or get hurt. But this ideal, in essence, is a neutralizing strategy. It is designed to keep everyone at a safe distance. When no one can meet the impossible standards she sets, she can justify her isolation without guilty. And this is where the dismissive avoidant becomes a painful paradox. They want love, but they fear it. They want a perfect partner, but cannot accept the inherent imperfection in all real relationships. Their idealizations and fantasies are not just an escape from reality, but also a defense mechanism to avoid facing the pain and insecurities from the past. Deep down, avoidants are not people who don't want anything serious. On the contrary, they may crave it more than anyone else, but to protect themselves, they have turned that seriousness into an impossible condition, placed on a pedestal that no one can reach. This is not malice, but a psychological distortion formed from the experiences they have faced. And to truly understand them, we need to look deep inside, where they are torn between the desire to be loved and the fear of losing themselves. Number 2. The ghost in avoidant relationships. People with an avoidant attachment style, especially women, often live in a struggle between the need for independence and the desire for connection. For them, the concept of the ghost X is not just a fleeting obsession, but a clear manifestation of a sophisticated defense mechanism. The ghost X is an idealized image of a past partner that seemingly no one can replace. Traces of that relationship remain not only in memories, but are also embellished and elevated, becoming a yardstick to compare with any current relationship. Bioethical concerns move deeper into the contemplation question. Imagine an avoidant woman named Sarah. Sarah once had a brief relationship with a man in the past, Jack. Jack wasn't perfect. He was sometimes inconsiderate and didn't share much about his feelings, but he gave Sarah a sense of security because he didn't require her to open up too much. When the relationship ended, Sarah not only retained memories of Jack, but also idealized him. In her memory, Jack became the perfect man, the one she couldn't find again. In later relationships, Sarah unconsciously uses the idealized image of Jack as an emotional shield. When faced with intimacy, or when she feels her current partner is getting too close, she compares them to Jack, or rather, to the version of Jack in her mind. This not only weakens the current relationship, but also pushes the partner away. They are never good enough, never live up to the standards Sarah has set, because those standards are built not for connection, but to protect her from the intimacy she fears. Interestingly, if you ask Sarah why her relationships aren't working, she'll say she's just looking for the right one. She doesn't realize that the idealized image of Jack is not reality, but an unconscious tool that helps her maintain emotional distance. She convinces herself that the right one is out there somewhere, and this becomes an endless loop where she chases an unattainable ideal. This idealization is not limited to Sarah. Many avoidants unconsciously construct a ghost X to protect their independence. It's the ultimate neutralizing strategy. When no one can meet that impossible standard, they don't have to face their true feelings or confront their deep-seated fear of intimacy. But here's the paradox. While they avoid reality, they are also drawn to people with an anxious attachment style. Anxious individuals with their desire for closeness and reassurance seem to be the complete opposite of avoidance. An avoidant woman like Sarah may feel pampered and cared for by the intense energy of an anxious person. But at the same time, that's what makes her feel pressured. Life in general, and you can use this rule in your relationships, is to encounter life's unexpected challenges rather than as a harm. As the anxious person tries to pull her closer, she retreats further, creating a whirlpool of contradictions. Why are people turned to employers looking for support? The important thing to realize is that for avoidance, the no-contact rule can be an effective approach. When they are not pressured or faced with constant attempts to repair the relationship from the other person, they have time to be alone with their thoughts and feelings. This is the moment when they begin to feel the absence. They are no longer filled with reassurance from the anxious person, and this can awaken the deep desires they usually suppress. Someone like Sarah, when no longer being pulled back by someone, may begin to wonder, what is making me avoid people who really care about me? What is making me unhappy in relationships? And in that stillness, her defenses may begin to crack, creating opportunities for understanding and even a step towards true connection. But all of this can only happen when she no longer feels pressured or forced to confront fears she is not ready to face. Number 3. Why the no-contact rule always works. The no-contact rule is a particularly effective tool with people who have an avoidant attachment style. And this is no coincidence. On the surface, it seems like a simple strategy. Stop communicating, create distance, and wait for the other person to come back. But beneath that simplicity lies a deep understanding of the avoidant psychology. These individuals, especially women, often tend to idealize the past and use that as an emotional shield to keep their distance from the present. When the no-contact rule is applied, it touches the deepest mechanisms within them, forcing them to confront the very emotions and desires they usually avoid. One important factor is the suppression of attachment emotions in avoidance. In relationships, they often activate a deactivating system to maintain distance. However, when the connection is severed and the ex-partner becomes inaccessible, this deactivating system no longer has a reason to operate. The absence not only creates a void, but also releases buried emotions. They begin to reminisce about the past relationship, and in that loneliness, the good memories become more prominent than the disagreements. They idealize you, not because you have changed, but because the distance makes them reassess everything through a selective lens, focusing on the positive aspects. Take the example of a woman named Emily. In relationships, Emily often appears independent and sometimes cold, avoiding deep conversations or long-term plans. After a breakup, she feels relieved that she no longer has to face the pressure of commitment. However, when her ex applies the no-contact rule, Emily begins to realize that the peace is not what she expected. She tries to move on by dating someone new, but no one seems to bring back the familiar feeling her ex did. Memories of happy moments, however small, begin to become the focus of her thoughts. This idealization is not accidental, but part of her psychological mechanism to deal with absence. Another factor that makes the no-contact rule effective is the shift in perspective. People with an anxious attachment style often react to breakups by trying to cling, an action that easily triggers the avoidance defenses. Conversely, when their ex is silent and keeps their distance, the avoidant is forced to adjust their expectations. No longer feeling pursued allows them to lower their emotional walls. Emily, for example, initially felt relieved when she was no longer bothered by messages or pleas. But gradually, the silence made her curious. Has he really moved on? This question sparked a chain of emotions she couldn't ignore. The combination of physical and emotional distance, coupled with the idealization of memories, creates a paradox. Avoidants who fear intimacy begin to crave the connections they once rejected. The no-contact rule, in essence, gives them the time and space to confront their suppressed emotions without feeling threatened. However, for this rule to be truly effective, the person implementing it needs to remain consistent and not break the distance. Breaking the rule, even once, can reactivate the avoidance defenses. This emphasizes the importance of not only being silent, but also building an independent, confident life during that time. When the avoidant sees that you are no longer dependent on them, they will be attracted to that independence. In Emily's mind, her ex is not just the person she once knew, but a new version, confident, attractive, and not easily attainable. In conclusion, the no-contact rule is effective with avoidance because it taps into their psychology, the desire for idealization, the need for space, and the fear of being overwhelmed. Instead of trying to pull them closer, you give them the necessary space to realize your value, not just as an ex, but as an important part of the beautiful memories they cannot easily replace. Number 4. The avoidance emotional roller coaster. The avoidance doom loop is a profound concept, reflecting the complexity in how they build and maintain relationships. When considering discussions about attachment on my YouTube channel, this doom loop emerges as an indispensable framework for deciphering the dynamics behind avoidant behavior in romantic relationships. This loop consists of 8 main stages, each reflecting a step forward or backward in their attachment process. The first stage is the longing for love, where the avoidant begins to feel a desire to be loved by someone. This is not just a minor emotion, but the presence of inner fantasies about a perfect relationship that they have never achieved. They idealize a flawless love, where everything flows smoothly and perfectly. The second stage is the honeymoon phase. In this stage, they start dating someone new and experience sweet emotions, where they feel like they have found the one. However, this idealization only lasts for a short time before signs of instability begin to appear. As people forget about the lines the day before, wake up to the reality in front of them, and realize how transient they are. The third stage is where things start to go downhill. Anxieties and doubts begin to arise as they notice worrying signs in the relationship. This is when their stress deactivation system is activated, making them anxious and starting to feel threatened. The fourth stage is starting to think about leaving the relationship. With fewer reasons to continue, they begin to think about ending the relationship. Often, their partner will double their efforts to find out why and try to fix the relationship. But the avoidant does not directly share their feelings, leading to an increased distance between the two. The fifth stage is leaving the relationship. The official breakup happens, and the avoidant feels relieved to have regained their independence. However, this joy only lasts for a short time before they fall into the sixth stage. The sixth stage is the breakup euphoria. The avoidant feels proud to have overcome the pressure and regained their independence. They feel like they have been freed from a burden, but this joy is quickly replaced by feelings of loneliness and self-pity in the seventh stage. The seventh stage is loneliness and self-pity. The avoidant begins to feel lonely and regretful about what happened. They fall into a state of depression, feeling that they cannot find someone truly suitable. Finally, the eighth stage is the cycle repeating, bringing them back to the initial stage of the doom loop, where they again begin to long for love but still fear deep connection. This creates an inescapable spiral, where the avoidant repeats the same behaviors and emotions in each new relationship. But it's not just avoidance. Anxious individuals also have their own doom loop. The anxious person's doom loop starts similarly to the avoidance, but it diverges at the third stage. When the avoidant begins to notice worrying signs, the anxious person, instead of recognizing it, becomes overly dependent on them. They focus on the avoidant to the point of creating pressure, causing the avoidant to erect new defensive walls. Stage 4 begins. The anxious person doubles their efforts to hold on to the avoidant, leading to the avoidant withdrawing and forcing them into a painful breakup. Once the anxious person enters stage 6, they try their best to win back the avoidant. But this effort is often rejected by the avoidant, leading to negative self-talk and feelings of failure. This causes them to fall into a state of depression and continue the cycle of negative emotions, ultimately leading them back to the positive memories of the old relationship, while the avoidant is immersed in negative memories. The no-contact rule becomes an important strategy in breaking this doom loop. When you implement the no-contact rule, you not only create space for the avoidant to feel more comfortable, but also allow them to question their true feelings. This distance is not about rejection, but an opportunity for them to reassess the relationship through a more positive lens. For example, when you apply the no-contact rule, an avoidant like Emily begins to remember happy moments, no longer pressured by your expectations and efforts to pull them close. Furthermore, maintaining consistency and not breaking the no-contact rule helps the avoidant realize that you are no longer a source of pressure. This allows them to freely reminisce and feel the absence without feeling threatened. During this time, they may begin to realize what they truly want in a relationship and find a balance between independence and connection. In addition, the no-contact rule also helps you focus on self-development, rebuilding confidence and independence. When you spend time on yourself, you not only become more attractive in the eyes of the avoidant, but also create a meaningful life of your own. This not only helps you get over your ex, but also brings inner peace, helping you better prepare for future relationships. Research and practice show that giving avoidants enough space and time to become aware of their emotions is key to breaking the doom loop. The no-contact rule is not just a strategy to attract them back, but also a process of self-improvement, helping you and them find balance and a deeper understanding of yourselves and your relationship. In this context, patience and understanding become important factors in helping you maintain the no-contact rule effectively. You are not only trying to get over your ex, but also building a better life for yourself. And when the avoidant begins to realize your value in this space, they may return with a fresh and more positive perspective, ready to build a healthier and more sustainable relationship. In our journey to deeply understand attachment psychology, we've explored the avoidance doom loop and the reasons why the no-contact rule yields such remarkable results. Through each stage, from the longing for love to the feelings of loneliness and self-pity, avoidants often find themselves trapped in an endless cycle where they both crave connection and fear intimacy. However, by consistently applying the no-contact rule and creating the necessary space, we not only help them confront their suppressed emotions, but also open up opportunities for personal healing and growth. This not only helps avoidants recognize their self-worth and what they truly desire in a relationship, but also allows them to gradually lower their defensive walls, leading to a healthier and more sustainable connection. For those who are in a relationship with an avoidant, remember that the no-contact rule is not just a strategy to attract them back, but also a process of self-improvement. Focusing on rebuilding your confidence, independence, and developing positive aspects of your own life will not only increase your self-worth, but also create an attractive image in their eyes. Be patient and understanding, as real change takes time and effort from both sides. Finally, always remember that every relationship is an opportunity to learn and grow. By understanding the psychological dynamics behind avoidant behavior, you can not only manage your current relationship more effectively, but also better prepare for future ones. Continue to explore, learn, and apply appropriate strategies to build genuine and lasting connections, not only with others, but also with yourself.